this time, Prophetess Barbara Calloway will lead us in a word of prayer and invocation.
Would you bow your heads? Father, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we thank you. We thank you because you are God and you are with us. You're the God of the Bible. You're the God of all creation. You're the God of the universe. And tonight, we ask that even in this setting, you would have your way. We thank you for words that are spoken that will bring healing. Lord, healing started with you, even in 2 Chronicles 7:14. You said that if we as your people would humble ourselves and pray, and seek your face and turn from our wicked ways, you said that you would hear from heaven, you would forgive sin, and you would heal the land. Our land is sick, and we need the master physician to heal this land from racism, heal this land from poverty, heal this land from hatred, heal this land from police brutality, heal our land tonight. We look to you. Let conversations that go forth be conversations of change and clarity. And when we leave this place tonight, we look forward to what you will continue to do in us and through us. It's in the mighty name of Jesus Christ we pray, we believe, we say that it is so. It shall not be otherwise. Somebody shout amen.
At this time, please welcome the founder and CEO of Urban Specialists, Bishop Omar Jawar, Dr. E. Dewey Smith, Mac Wilborn, T.I. Harris, Ted Wynn, and Naturi Naughton to discuss the culture and crisis.
Good evening. Good evening. It is good that we are here. I want to say to you, before we get started, before we say anything about what we're going to do tonight, I want us to take a moment of silence, because we know what just happened, what we witnessed in Wisconsin. We are aware that there is a nation that's trying to grapple with, where do we go from here? How do we maneuver through these turbulent times? So if you just would allow me for a few moments, I want you just to have a moment of silence for those who are in this crisis moment, but we believe that there's going to be a creative power to come even in this. So just for a few moments, moment of silence. Thank you. It is a blessing for us to be here. I see that you who are here in the audience, you are social distancing, and we want you to know that we understand how critical this is. So though we do have a live audience, all are in a very distanced area, so we don't want to cause any harm to those who want to support what we do. So thank you, and please know that we're taking all precautions necessary. I'm Bishop Omar Jawar, and I am here just to get you ready for what's going to happen. This Heal America idea is something that we believe in, and we're going to get into what all of this is about, so don't worry. And it's going to give you arise in your spirit, but solutions. We're going to get into some solutions. But first, let me say to Dr. E. Dewey Smith, who has given us the pleasure to be in this place, House of Hope. You are such an enormous part of what Atlanta has become and what it shall be. You're a voice, and thank you. And your people have been so hospitable. Thank you for allowing us to do this here. I just want you to just please tell us that you love us or something, because we absolutely love you, sir.
Glad to have you. Love all of you. Enjoy Atlanta.
You know,
welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And Ted Wynn, and the reason I know this great man of God is because this man of God in Dallas, Ted Wynn was the first of, you know, when I started saying doing this Hill America stuff, it was not like I understood what I was talking about. I was just inspired. And this was before George Floyd, before Ahmaud Arbery, before Breonna Taylor. It was just an inspiration. And so I said, we need to get some artists and individuals. And they said, hey, man, have you heard, you know Ted Wynn. And I knew your music, but I didn't know your passion about our people and about these subject matters. So I was so thrilled to hear you talk. I said, okay, you can sing, but will you talk? And you've been involved in this since the beginning. Tell us why you are still in this.
I'm in this because I care, first of all I love God. And I don't think it's possible to love God and not love God's people.
Right.
So I love God, I love God's people, I love this country, and I understand that there are real specific issues that are happening to black people in America. Right. And so those of us who have any kind of platform have a responsibility to speak to the ills of our society so that we can do whatever good we can to move our country forward.
Yeah, Ted, this idea of it's in our range, that we can't say it's someone else's responsibility. We're going to get into a lot of that today with these panelists. But I do want to say that, I have an OG that's on our portal. I don't know if you know who Mac Wellborn is, but if you don't, you should. Because he is one of those change makers, those difference makers that really has changed Atlanta. He's an economic genius, and he's an OG. So I said, Brother Mac, I can't come to your city and do what Ted just talked about, be a part of a systemic move without coming and saying thank you and having you to bless us as an elder in this moment. So I just wanted you to say hello to all of us and just give us some wisdom from your perspective.
Good evening. Well, been in Atlanta since 1971 and have worked in every major political, mayoral, city council, and all the way to President Obama. And so our community, first of all, we just need to take care of our community. We start at home. If we could start at home by taking care of our community and owning the businesses in our community and making them profitable and reinvesting into them as we do our homes.
Yes, sir.
That is my wish, and that's how I have lived. And working in the community and, being robbed, like 15 times. Wow. And I had a national brand, McDonald's. My partner and I started here in 1971. It was only 8 blacks in McDonald's when we came into Atlanta, in the whole United States. But just working in the community, I've worked whatever phase of the community I've worked in.
You talked to me on yesterday, and thank you, Brother Mac. He said something that I gotta share before we move on. He said, Bishop, police brutality is important, but if we don't start taking care of ourselves, what does that mean? We have to trust that the things that we have in our hand, they have to become valuable. He said, grandmama's house has to be something other than just something that you have, but a legacy builder. And I so appreciated that, and I so appreciate you. You don't know how much I want to say thank you for your leadership I want you who are online, I know so many of you are online, and if you can share our feed, healamericatour.com, please look up who he is. Please understand that it is important that his voice is on this platform. And then, Natari, and I see my brother Tip, I see you, I promise you, we got a long history. I appreciate you, my brother. But let me say something to Sister Natari. Most of us know her as Tasha on Power, but I said I wasn't going to call you that. But,
yes, I get that every day.
Yeah. So, so tell us about Power. No, I'm just playing. I'm just kidding around. I am so honored, but people may not know your passion for activism and your passion for this moment. I know you've done a lot in acting, but why are you a part of this conversation? What do you want to say to those who may be wondering, why are you synced up with us?
Well, I was very excited to be invited into Heal America and what, this conversation is about and what it represents. The reason why I felt it was necessary for me to utilize my voice and be here is because as someone of influence, we have to stop just talking the talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have to actually do what we talk about. We have to engage with our fan base. We have to actually go out and activate what we say we want to do. So when we say we want to build up the Black community, we want to stand up against police brutality, whatever it is, we have to actually put our feet on the pavement and actually do it. And that's one thing that I particularly felt passionate about, even at the beginning of COVID, giving away 10,000 meals. I'm from East Orange, New Jersey, the inner city in Jersey, in Brooklyn,
right.
In St. Croix. My family's from the West Indies. So I felt like we have to start putting our money where our mouth is. And like you all were talking about legacy. How can we leave a legacy if we don't build up our communities?
I appreciate that.
So to me, that was important, and I was excited to lend my voice and talk about all the stuff we need to talk about today.
Well, I appreciate you. You don't know how much I appreciate you being a part of this. And listen, thank you. And T.I., Brother Tip, man, it's been years ago. I was telling your people, I said, he will remember me, because years ago he did a song called Dead and Gone. And we gave him a Movement Through Music award. And it's 10 years ago. I was telling the young guys, I said, I see something in him. He has a different light that's not just about this idea, but about what you see as a part of our community, our legacy. And I took some folks to the Trout Museum yesterday, and just to understand where the flowers bloom, but you got to know where the soil that they come from. And some people kept asking me, Bishop, why is there so much baking soda? I said, I'll explain that later. I said, I can't explain that to you today, but we'll give you the understanding of that later on, man. But anyway, my brother, thank you so much for being a part. I know you're out of town. I know you want to be here, but man, I just wanted Atlanta again to hear your voice on this issue. And I know you're doing some things that are serious. So just tell us what you're doing and why you are connected to this cause.
I mean, well, anytime I have an opportunity to speak on behalf of the collective, anything that I could say or do that will contribute to the liberation of our people, I'm always eager to do so. Everything from trying to make sure that people are aware of our circumstances and how in dire need we are of an economic base that will be self-sustaining and create an ecosystem within our communities. I believe that is a large portion of our issues. You know what I'm saying? People don't necessarily. They want our dollars. We account for 1.4 trillion every year in spending, but we have the least amount of ownership, the least amount of consideration, the least amount of representation within these corporations that we spend all this money. And people are always talking about going to vote. And yes, it is important. We must go out and become a part of the political process. But also, we must be aware that every time we spending a dollar on a brand, whether it's McDonald's, as Mr. Wilborn, the OG spoke of, whether it's Nike, whether it's Puma, whether it's Adidas, whether it's Popeyes, we are voting for them. Mm-hmm. Every dollar we spend is a vote for a corporation, is a vote for a product, is a vote for a brand. Those brands make people millions and billions, even trillions of dollars. So for us to not utilize that strength that we all collectively have is leaving food on the table that I think all of our children and grandchildren could benefit from.
You know what, Tip, man, that is
Amen.
so profound, brother. And for you to say those words today and to see what you came through and the road that it took, it's very unique, man, that you can end up here mentally and spiritually. So we want this to start a relationship, which we have one with the community, but with you in particular. It is good to see this kind of ideology being spoken of, but you doing something about it. And it means a whole lot to me and to us as we go into this journey. So I won't hold y'all because I know y'all have things to do, but I wanted to make sure that I gave homage to Atlanta properly, because I respect that, and I respect y'all. And Brother Mac, I told you that you're gonna have to give me the game. He said some stuff that I ain't gonna let him say, because y'all will get mad if he said it on offline. We'll talk about it directly as brother to brother. But Tip, I appreciate you, and Natari, you are absolutely fabulous for us, and thank you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We really appreciate you. And Tip, I can't wait to see you when you get here, and we'll talk some more. Brother Mac, thank you. And let's really get into this. Pastor, I know your heart. You told me. I know your soul, Ted. We've been, on this. And this is real. I want to show this video. We're going to get started. We're going to go forward, but I want to go into this video. And this is what we did in Minnesota. We've been in Minnesota, Detroit, Dallas. We've been all around doing these Heal America. But I want you to just see what we did. And I appreciate y'all. Let's get started. Thank you. Appreciate. When I think about what happened here, the killing of George Floyd, and what is transpiring across the nation, I feel angry. I feel cheated. And more than anything else, I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a fire. Fire that has the potential to purify, but yet it can also destroy when it burns out of control. The question is, how are we going to respond to this fire? That's what Heal America is all about. We are all in this together. If we're in it together, say we're in it together. It's a series of local conversations bringing together leaders who are committed to finding common ground and believe we can find and implement solutions that chart a constructive path forward for our nation.
Challenge one another to make things better.
I was shot 5 times by a police officer, and there's not been any accountability.
On behalf of police officers, man, I'm sorry, man. So it's my vow to everybody on this panel that I will do my best to be that change from within.
One that embraces America's founding ideas, those of equal justice, inclusion, and empowerment. We believe, as Frederick Douglass and Dr. King did, that America draws its strength from these ideas, and that more fully embracing them is the solution to overcoming any injustice.
Instead of calling each other out all the time, we call each other in, call each other up.
You can't legislate reconciliation. It's got to be a heart change.
See, confronting injustice and eliminating racism won't happen overnight. But there is more common ground than people realize. We have the opportunity to move people from being frustrated on the sidelines to being frontline participants of change. It's what we've been doing in Dallas, in Detroit, in Baton Rouge, and Minneapolis, and what we will keep doing in other cities.
Leaders can step up to prevent it from happening again.
Respect and trust cannot be demanded. It's got to be a mutual thing.
I will change the face of modern day policing.
You see, Heal America is not just a series of conversations, but it's a movement. It is a demonstration of the difficult work that must take place everywhere, in each one of us. And no one can tap out now. There's just too much work to be done. And it will take each of us bringing our abilities, our knowledge, and skills to the table to move this forward. And I hope you will join us and be a part of this movement to truly heal America. I hope you kind of get the gist of what we're doing. And, you know, this is why, in my opinion, this is so important. I mean, think about today. You just saw the idea of Minneapolis and George Floyd, but we're talking about Wisconsin, we're talking about Atlanta, we're talking about us. We're talking about these kinds of tough ideas. So tonight, we're gonna have a conversation. And we're bringing people together from varying cultures, varying points of views, but it's all so we can have a divergent coalition of individuals who believe that change is possible. We acknowledge what's going on. We don't try to hide it, play as if it's not real, but it begins with a conversation. My history, I was the first gang specialist in the state of Texas, so I am used to being in this position where people who are in opposite sides of the continuum find ways to bring peace and understanding. I'm used to this. I know how this can work. But when you try to bring individuals together, normally it's over an argument. It's rarely over solutions. So today, this is a solution. This is a solution kind of discussion. And we have a panel that we're going to do, and everyone here has been vetted by us as a person of influence, a person that believes that change can happen and is happening right now. And they walk the walk, they talk the talk. This is the real deal. So I want to bring these panelists up. I don't want to take a whole bunch of time because it's time for us to really get into this idea. So we have Cortez Bryant, who is the CEO of Young Money. We have my friend and my brother, Ryan Tillman, who has an organization called Breaking Barriers, which is about police being a part of, it's Breaking Barriers United. Have Harry Sewell, who is pastor in Dallas, in Mesquite, Texas, one of the great pastors, but he has a unique perspective of how we can bring these things together. You have my brother Titus O'Neil, who is a WWE superstar. He has millions of followers and he performs, but his heart is in changing the community. You have so many great folks in this continuum, but none greater than my brother Leon Ford. Leon Ford, who is an activist, but he's an activist not because he is someone who has passion from a theory. He was shot 5 times. He's paralyzed. One of the most inspirational people I know. You saw Dr. E. Dewey Smith. He'll be on this panel. He is the pastor here. And so we're going to just have this kind of conversation about the culture and get it from their perspective. And hopefully you and I can gain some insight on where we are thinking. But I want to compliment one more person. When we started doing this work, one of the things that we said is you got to have influencers who can move the needle. My brother Mac Main and Cortez, they formed something called Young Money, and you may not know who they are in the world you're in, but believe me, you are listening to the music that they produce. People like Drake and Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne and others. But this young man's heart has been about passionate change, and so we've engaged on so many levels. So would you please give this great panel a great hand, everybody? Oh, Harry, I didn't know I was in front of you like that, man. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was standing in front of you. Why ain't you touching me? I said, I didn't know I was standing right in front of you.
That's okay. Hey, if anybody can stand in front of me, Bishop, it'd be you.
Okay.
I had your back.
Yeah.
I had your back.
Hey, Bishop, you don't mind, but I can't, this brother's too short dressed. I got to move.
All right.
Yeah, you know.
I don't want to be behind.
I thought, yeah, well, you know what, Ryan, you can scoot up if you want to, man.
Come on, Ryan.
We're not doing that because
Come on,
you.
Ryan, we'll come and bring you up here.
Yeah, bring him on up.
You need a high chair anyway.
Yeah, I do.
Then let me tell you.
We shared a room last night. I had the big bed. He had the small bed.
Yeah.
Now, when
I had to roll away last night.
When he that big, you don't argue with him. You just say, okay.
Well, he the police.
No, I didn't argue at all. I just got
in bed. I said, I just went to sleep.
Yes, sir.
Asked for a bedtime story.
Now, man, look, I'm gonna tell y'all, man, this issue is one of the most passionate issues that you have with our community right now. It's really about police relationships. We just saw what happened in Wisconsin. We saw what happened with George Floyd. I can't get that out of my mind. Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, which is kind of in the same vein. But, you know, I can go back to others, man. We could go back to Alton Sterling. We could say Trayvon, which is stand your ground. But it's all in the same realm. But, you know, Ryan and Leon, I always start with y'all because you cannot get more from opposite paths than you two. Ryan, you're a police officer who has said, and I got it on video, I'm going to change the face of policing in America. And then Leon, you are a brother, young brother. And Dr. Smith, we got a video when he was very young, 6 years ago, when he spoke at your church for these young people. So he's been a passionate young activist, but you were shot. And you've had to figure this out. From your perspective, where are we from a cultural lens, from a police officer and from someone who has had that kind of violation? Can y'all just give us where you guys are, and either one can start?
I guess I'll start. I don't know, I've done several interviews today, and I'm not overwhelmed, but I am angry. I am saddened by what's going on, especially with the parallels between my story and Mr. Jacob Blake's, with him possibly losing his ability to walk. And I talk about healing a lot. And so I've been going to therapy for over 1.5 years now. And so what usually happens is people go to therapy when there's a crisis. And the benefit that I feel from going to therapy for over 1.5 years is that I've been doing this maintenance. And this maintenance has prepared me for moments like this where I would have been overwhelmed and maybe I wouldn't have been able to acknowledge my emotions in a healthy way. But being that I go to therapy, I'm able to acknowledge my emotions, right, and really give advice and insight to the family in need.
So Lynn, this has been about emotional therapy for you. And social, okay, I didn't know that. That's powerful. So even though you've been helping others, you've been doing some maintenance on yourself, getting yourself through these moments, which is important. And Ryan, as a police officer, man, seeing this, so bruh, we are really in a very different America right now, where there's a pandemic, where there's distress. Tell me what do you see in our cultural lens, because I know people have been asking you about this. I mean, here we are again, 7 shots in the back. What we gonna do?
Yeah, so when that's all actually happened, I think it was a couple days ago, I texted Leon, and I was like, man, this has just been like a emotional roller coaster, because I know he understands it more than anybody, but it's also been emotional for me, because when it happened, my phone is going off the hook, because everybody wants answers, right? And so, you know, kind of like Leon, for me, I've always found my guidance through my spirituality, my faith in Jesus Christ. And I was praying for peace, because peace in my own heart. And that peace in my own heart is what allows me to go out there and share peace to others.
Right.
I'm in a unique position because prior to law enforcement, I didn't like cops. I was just talking to your family and Doug earlier. I remember conversations vividly younger when I dated a girl and she couldn't bring me to her dad because I was black, or another girl I dated, and you know, her dad said, "You better not bring home any nigger babies." Like, those were vivid memories that I have. But then as an officer, I see where we can change, and where just 3 weeks ago, I was at a call for service where there was a drowning baby. There was a 2-year-old baby in the pool was drowning. A few weeks before that, I was at a call for service where there was a guy that was stabbed 9 times with his 4-year-old son there. So I see this unique world where there's a need for police, but at the same time, there's a dire need to also change policing. But the last thing I'll say is that one of the most powerful things that gives me the peace, which Jesus has done for me, is assemble this tour and this group with you and everybody else on this panel, because this is what healing looks like. I mean, we've all become family, me, Titus, Leon, Miss Alice, everybody, and this is what true healing looks like, you know. And it's kind of weird because you look at everybody across the country bickering, whether you're Republican, Democrat, you name it, everybody's going back and forth,
right.
And yet all of us on the same stage, pastor, we all come from different places, but yet the biggest thing that draws us together is family. And so that's what I try to do and lead with in my day job, is lead with that empathy.
You know, Ryan, man, thank you for saying that, because we are family. We've gotten close, and the only thing I can equate it to is influence. Like the influences of culture can kind of bridge divides like that, and that's what you guys are. And nobody has been influencing our culture over the last 20-something years like Mac Cortez. Now, Cortez does not look like he would be making all of us want to do what we want to do in them clubs that we need to repent for going to. And Mac sends me a word. People don't know Mac, I'm going to go and tell them. Mac sends me a word every day, a spiritual word, Doc, every day, and it's always appropriate. So you guys are unique in this cultural moment because, bruh, y'all have been in this thing. I remember when we met, and let me let you speak on it, but y'all were telling me about how y'all had to walk over dead bodies, you had to mentally keep yourself going. In this moment where we need cultural influences to speak up, and they are, tell me your role as it relates to this healing process, or what you see, or maybe you still in that moment, just however you want to flow. I give you guys the flow.
You want to go, Mac? I can't hear.
I think you're on mute, Mac.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Go
Loud
ahead.
and clear.
I was saying you can go ahead, Ted.
Okay. I mean, like you said, Bishop, we grew up in the 90s in New Orleans. You know, Mac, Wayne, and I, we all went to the same high school. We've been knowing each other way before the music business, you know, so we genuinely friends that came up in the same environments. Mac and Wayne were from the same neighborhood. I was from downtown, different part of New Orleans. So, you know, it's something that we recognize as a problem since, you know, all our lives, basically how we came up. You know, I think that at this point, after years, I think we're both recognizing now that it's important for us as we built this platform with all our artists that's successful. We understand the power of what hip hop is to the world.
Right.
You know, for us to purposefully figure out how we could connect the dots. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere we can. You know, so I think that definitely for me it's been my passion, and it's been burning in my chest since I met you, and you planted that seed in my head, because I didn't even know I was going to be doing all the things that I'm doing. But yeah, you planted that seed in my head, Bishop, and it's kind of been ever since then. You know, I've been just trying to figure it out. You know, you know, I don't think it's an easy problem to solve. You know, it's systematic oppression and racism is embedded in 400 plus years of strategy and oppression. So I've just been trying to do my part and use the platform that we have to kind of solve the problem.
Man, Tez, I appreciate it, you know, and I understand exactly what you're saying. And Mac, you know, we talk about this a lot, and it's kind of strange that the patriots that we need look like you. It's not what you would probably assume would be the heroes, but I told you, and I told Tez, y'all it, man. We need you right now, because there is a serious hill that we're gonna either fall down or we're gonna climb up, and we need some traction from you. So Mac, just tell me what you see, you know, as a person that can see this culture from a lens of an influencer. Tell me where you at.
I mean, right now, Bishop, honestly, it's like, it's a problem that's been going on pretty much. I mean, before I was born, I'm pretty sure, but since I was young, you know, growing up in New Orleans, I'm pretty sure it's like that in every other inner city community, man. And it's like, I always used to say it's a full-time job for a black man to make it home. And it's a blessing for you to make it home. And the two things that you're trying to escape are, of course, death. You got your own people, you got the police, and you're trying to escape jail, but you're still dealing with the police. And I really feel like it shouldn't be like that, but growing up, we normalized it. Also, as far as police brutality and things like that, when we were younger in New Orleans, we kind of got immune to it at one point, and like I was saying, we normalized it, you know. Now, it's really like we need to step up as fathers. We need to step up for the next generation. One of my main things, and I know Taz was on the same kick and Wayne, the reason why we also, you know, did what we did to the capacity that we have done it is because we wanted to build generational wealth and make sure that our next generation of our kids and our families and generations after that, you know, we could set the tone for them. But right now, we actually need to set the tone for survival for our kids. I have a 15-year-old son, so when I saw Jacob Blake's father speak on his son being paralyzed, it touched me in a way, you know what I'm saying? And just seeing a lot of other brothers being killed, but my son's 15, so if he gets pulled over one day, he's not exempt. You know, they don't know that, oh, that's Mac Main's son, or this. They don't even know me, a lot of the cops, you know what I'm saying? And what's going on right now, and I say this respectfully, and then I also bring clarity to it, you have what's called, to me, cowards with power. Now, what I mean by that is not all police are cowards with power. We can't blame it on all police, just like we can't say all blacks are thugs and they have to be athletes, and just like we can't say all whites are racist. You can't make it just a race thing, you know, because then you're falling into a trap if you do that. But cowards with power, that could be a politician that's abusing his power. That could be anybody. That could be a teacher. That could be a CEO that's abusing their power. So I don't, you know, I've never been a part of what the police, what it is, the requirements to be a police, you know, what it takes as far as the test. But I feel like they need to come with some type of different testing too, personalities and mental abilities, mental capabilities and capacities, like what these people would think of in certain situations, how they would react. Because it seemed right now like they pretty much let anybody be a police the way it's going, you know, like you should be able to kind of see what's going on before that happens. This person's probably showing signs, unless the superior is the same way. So, I mean, we need to do something where we flush it out, and the taxpayer dollars need to be exempt from certain things to where it hit them in the pocket, and I think we'll see some type of change. I mean, there's a lot more answers to it, but just me analyzing what's going on out there, Bishop, is cowards with power, and we need to come out of our immune to this state, immune to that state, which we have. I've been seeing a lot going on. And we need to go get out here and raise our voice, which I've been seeing a lot with the protests, but we got to keep going. We can't let social media distract us. I saw the NBA, the players actually shut down the games today. I mean, in the end, that's correct because it is a distraction. Like, we see what happened to Jacob Blake, and we just go back to watching basketball and focusing on the playoffs. Now, we need to really channel this energy into making a change.
You know, Mac, wow, that's good. And I'm trying not to be very emotional because it is personal to me, just like it is to you. You know, Titus, man, you were one of the first people to say to me that you're in. And you mentor a young man, and I saw the whole video. And you're a superstar for all of us. You're WWE superstar, millions of followers, and I'm serious. And man, it would seem like you are in a position where normally it's not blacks that's looked at as the superstars. You're probably in a weird position to be having to explain this world to those who may not know. How have you used your influence and your power in the arena that God has blessed you with to do what you do? How are you doing that? With truth.
I think one of the reasons why America is in the position that it's in today is because nobody really wants to talk truth. Nobody really want to have real conversations. You know, I'm the product of a rape. My mother was raped at 11 years old, had me at the age of 12. I grew up in the projects. I was told I would be dead or in jail by the time I was 16. And I believed that for a greater part of my young adult life. And then I got a chance to go to a place called the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch. And it was there that a conversation was had with me by a white guy from Chicago, Illinois, named Patrick Minogue, that told me that he loved me and that he believed in me and that there was no such thing as a bad kid. And I asked him at that time, because I was getting ready to get kicked off of the Boys Ranch, how can he say that there's no such thing as a bad kid when I'm getting ready to get put back into the same situation that I came out of? And I got 3 younger brothers, And he said, I'm not going to give you the answer to that because I truly believe in my heart that you're going to turn things around and you're going to find out the answer for yourself. And for years, black and brown kids, you know, have been told, oh, we got to get them out of this situation, or those kids are bad, you know. And there are kids and people that are in bad situations around bad influences, making bad decisions and having bad outcomes. You have those, you take those same exact kids or people and you put them in a good situation around greater influences and they'll have a greater chance to succeed. I became the first high school graduate in my family. My mom didn't graduate from high school until after I graduated from high school. My 3 younger brothers graduated from college after I graduated from college. So when you talk about truth and people saying, you know, for years as a young black American, I was hiding my truth. I was hiding the fact that I was the product of a rape. I was hiding the fact that I couldn't read because, I couldn't read because I couldn't see. It wasn't, I was never a dumb kid. I just didn't care because people had told me for years that I would never be whatever. And so now, at 43 years old, I really just don't give a damn, you know, because I'm tired. I know a lot of people around me are tired. And it shouldn't just be up to athletes or influencers or politicians and Christian leaders. I think it's up to everybody because there's so many people, and I get tired of hearing, you know, well, we gotta do something for our community. Well, everybody needs to do something for our community because if you look at what white America has done to our community, they've thrown a lot of money there, but they've thrown a lot of money there so that they can simply turn around 15, 20 years later to say, hey, we tried, all right, now we got to gentrify it. And so then we push people out. And so what are you actually really trying to do? When I hear people say defund the police, they don't know what the hell defund the police even means. Like Mac Main said, it's a shame to me that a guy that can graduate from high school, you know, and then go to 3 to 6 months to
6 months in the academy.
6 months in the academy. It takes longer to learn how to do nails and hair than it does to learn how to operate a gun or to be walking around legally with a gun.
My goodness.
Yet you want to tell our teachers at one point, you know, we're going to put guns in the teachers' hands. They ain't qualified to do that. Hell, the people that's qualified, quote unquote, to do it ain't doing a good job of doing it. So we have a panel here of people from all different walks, backgrounds, you know, and, you know, I believe in Jesus Christ too, but I also believe what Jesus Christ says is talking about truth, you know, and I use this example all the time in regards to if I had a bottle of water up here and I put just a little bit of dog poop in it, would you drink it, Pastor Smith? No? So if I had a bottle of water and I put a big log in there, would you drink that? No, because the water's, you know what, either way, I'm trying to respect, we got 2 pastors on the thing. My point is, truth is truth, you know? I'd rather my friends tell me, hey man, your breath stinking, than be like, hey, walk away, let me talk and hang out. You know, if Leon was like, hey man, he walked behind, he rolled away from me and went and told Ryan, hey man, you smell Titus breath tonight? And woo woo. Don't throw me no hints. Just give me the gum, Ray, bro, your breath stink. You know? And that's what America needs to come up with, that truth, that just bold truth of, hey, we got a problem. The problem ain't the police. I know a lot of police. Law enforcement saved my life. The problem is the systemic issues within law enforcement and the justice system. You know, that's the problem. The problem is in the issues of systemic racism and economic development when it comes to housing and banking and education. White people want, you know, I've been doing a lot of visiting to Asheville, North Carolina here recently, and I'm seeing protests. And if you go to Asheville, North Carolina, it's 97% white. And it's 97% white people out there protesting. And then I saw a white lady write a letter on behalf of the black community. And I say, what the hell is she thinking? That would be the equivalent of us sitting in a room with a room full of white people, and December rolls around, and a white guy or white woman stands up and say, all right, guys, what are our plans for Black History Month? Who in the hell in that room can give us an idea of what we should be doing for Black History Month. That's what's been going on for years. So that's why the textbooks are the way that they are in school. That's why we don't learn about the truths behind what each African-American leader that has ever stood up for anything, why he's been assassinated or ostracized or put away. Muhammad Ali, who we celebrate all, you know, the greatest, he lost 3 years of his prime career because he said, I'm not going over to fight a war after I just won a gold medal and I can't even eat a hot dog and a hamburger in my hometown of Louisville. I just won a gold medal for this country and y'all want me to go fight some people that ain't never did nothing to me. So when we talk about healing, you know, whether it be in the Black community, the white community, the Asian community, regardless, let's start the healing with truth. And it's gonna be uncomfortable for a lot of folks, but it's a lot of white people I know that really want to see some change. And they will raise hell for you. And they did it back at the Edmund Pettus Bridge years ago. They flew from San Francisco, New York, Boston, all over the world to come here. We got white guys, pastor coming up here. Today he said something today to me and Ryan on the shuttle ride to eat. And I grew more love for you. Because he said, man, I'm still learning. Here's a dude that's been preaching the word of God for over 30-something years. Was born into it. Mom and dad, you know, had a church and he took over for them. And he's still learning.
Yeah.
And he want to learn.
Yeah.
And until we get other people that want to learn and want to learn the truth.
Yeah, come on.
And actually deal with things in love and truth. I can love you.
Come on.
I'll cuss you out too now. You know, God ain't through with me yet. He might got y'all where y'all need to go.
I almost witnessed it when he didn't get through.
Let me jump in right here. I appreciate y'all give him a hand because he gonna cut somebody out. Now listen, let me say something, man. Titus, you were just. That's why I didn't even want to interrupt. I love that stream of consciousness where you was going with that, because this is right, man. This is about truth. What Max said was about truth. You know, Pastor, and I wanted to wait on the pastors on this first round of questioning last, and then I'm gonna come back and give everyone some thoughts. But man, this idea of truth, it's almost like we see the same thing, but how can you see what I just saw and have a different interpretation?
Right.
And Pastor, you have been so much of a glue for us in our New Hill family. How do we do that? How do we look at this truth and try to figure out how we can get some truth and love and justice and action and healing? How do we do that?
Man, I'm glad you asked me, Bishop. First of all, thank you for letting me be here. You know, I kind of get passionate, excited about this. Bottom line is, I'm a man of the cloth. We're in a church, right? The Bible says, let me back up here just for a second. We got to have a heart change. If we don't have a heart change, somebody listen to me tonight, if we don't have a heart change, nothing's going to change. I believe in the laws and legislation, and I'm a law-abiding citizen, but Pastor, if we don't have a heart change, nothing's going to change. What does the good book say? I'm a pastor. Listen, whatever the problem is, the answer, the solution is in the Bible. Whatever the question is, the answer is in the Bible. What does the Bible say, Bishop? It says, guard your heart, because out of your heart flows all the issues of life. It says, you want to hear another one? It says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So we got to have a heart change. How do we have a heart change? I'm glad you asked. It goes back to love and relationship. Listen to me. Love and relationship will produce a heart change. The disciples went to Jesus one day, and they said, Master, tell us, what's the greatest commandment of all? He said, I'm glad you boys asked me that, because there's really two of them. One is love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, body, and spirit. Number two is just like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. We got to get back to love, because the Bible says God so loved the world that he gave it the world. That's all of us. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him might not perish, but have everlasting life. So we got to come back to a heart change. Listen to me. You know, Bishop, I've been with you. This is our third Heal America conference. I said, Lord, give me something different to tell the bishop than what I've said at the first two. And the Lord gave me a word. If you remember in the book of Genesis, chapter number 4, the Bible said two brothers came against each other. One of them rose up, Cain, and he slew his brother Abel. Is that not right? This means yes, this means no. Is that not right? Okay. So Cain slays his brother Abel. God sees that from heaven above. He goes down, Bishop, and he says, Cain, hey, buddy, hey, where's your brother Abel? Remember what Cain replied? I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? Listen to me. God did not like that response. He said, hey, Cain, because you have the attitude, you are not your brother's keeper. Listen to me now. We're all our brothers and sisters' keepers. Somebody talk to me tonight. We're all our brothers and sisters' keeper. He said, Cain, just because of that spirit, just because of that attitude, because you didn't love your brother like you should, because I'm going to put a curse on you. And here's what the curse is going to be. You're going to be a vagabond. Is that what it says, Pastor? Cain, you're going to be a vagabond for the rest of your life. You know what a vagabond is? It's a wanderer. He said, you're not going to have no stability for the rest of your life. You're going to wander here. You're going to wander there. You're not going to have a home. You're not going to have anything. You're going to be a wanderer, big boy, for the rest of your life because of your spirit and attitude of, I am not my brother's keeper. We are our brothers and sisters' keepers tonight. Somebody help me preach this message. Somebody help me preach this thought. I am your keeper. You are my keeper. And we got to get back to what the Bible says about loving one another. Love your neighbor as yourself. You know what? I don't know about you. I love myself pretty dadgum good. You know what? I get along myself real well. Okay, but come on, help me out. And so we got to get back to, I got to love you as much as I love myself. I know you want to say, all right, I'll sit back, Bishop.
No,
but that's what we got to do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Pastor, Dr. Smith, you're hearing this. You're hearing this. You heard these brothers. You heard Leon say that I'm trying to heal from the inside. You heard Titus say that this is truth and love. Ryan said that even when you're confronting it, you got to confront it knowing that you are in an experience that's inside, right, that you are trying to have it on the outside. And Cortez and Mac, they just said, man, maybe this burning sensation, this idea of change can really cause us to not adjust to these cowards with power or to be so passionate about this that we start just planting seeds and don't know where they'll go. And then, and Doc just broke it down. This is a hard thing, a love thing. Yep. All of this sounds good here. But is somebody looking right now saying, Bishop, I got you. We love all of what y'all talking about, but what we gonna do? How can we in Atlanta or wherever take these words and really make them make sense, because they're dealing with it today. It's some rioting going on today, for real. There's some protesting going on today because we feel overwhelmed. Can you give us a word?
Thanks for having me, Bishop, and I appreciate everything that the panelists have said. It's been so amazing and so thoughtful. Part of my challenge is I think we are delusional if we keep referring to what's happening as if it's generational, as if it's something just contemporary. I think that the major challenge with us as Americans is we have to look at America's origins. Everything that is happening now, nothing is new. For 400 years, America, its very spirit at its core, is rotten. From its treatment of the Native Americans, from going to West Africa, bringing West Africans through the Middle Passage, the transatlantic, 250 years of slavery, putting economy over humanity, Plessy versus Ferguson, Jim Crow. Everything that America has done has been about subordinating and relegating people. And until we go deep to see the systemic issues, everything that has happened for 400 years has been systemic, even from religion. You know, Pastor talked about the Bible and loving each other, but that same Bible people use right now to justify slavery. There are some people right now who theologically believe that blacks are inferior because of a curse of Ham. Yeah. You know, Mormonism taught up until a few years ago that black people were cursed by God, that our noses are long and wide, our lips are thick because of a curse. Mormons taught that the black man's genital is long because it was cursed by God. They think that was offensive. I just said, thank you, Lord, keep cursing me. But I just think, but
I ain't gonna say nothing about that.
Yeah, but
just look at your neighbor and say, God is good. But no, keep going, man.
So what's happened is even law enforcement is rooted and grounded in the slave codes. So law enforcement is doing exactly what it was intended to do. And until there's a radical reshifting and excavation and an acknowledgement of what America has stood for 400 years, we're going to continue to perpetuate the same problems. Everything else is putting Band-Aid on cancer.
Yeah, now, Dr. Smith, I gotta, man.
Facts.
Powerful. That powerful. It's real. But watch this. So let me tell you where I'm at. And I want y'all to hear this because I'm gonna round it up now. And God won't talk to y'all so much more, but that's why we keep doing this, because I want people to understand its depth here. But look, let me just put this question like this, because this is where I'm at. I'm saying that the ideas, the lofty ideas, the American documents, the unalienable rights, the ability to say that we can have freedom, that every citizen should be, I think those ideas are true, even if it ain't truth yet. Even if they have not been able to be realized yet, that the aspirational thought of one nation under God is a good thought, but you have to go deep. I love that. You know Dr. E.K. Bailey before he passed. Dr. E.K. Bailey, when he was about to, his last sermon, you remember that sermon when he said, sometimes you got to go further in and deeper down. And he was talking about when they were trying to save a young girl from the well, but they almost had her. And then he said, but the guys who were digging the well said, now I got to go further and deeper down. I think that that's what you're saying to us, because if we don't say this, Mac, if we don't say this, Tez, we start saying that it is a gap that we can't get through. And so we leave room for the anarchists and the this and the that to say to us, it is no more perfect union, this is it. And I can't say that. I can't say that because I got children. That's why I told you, Mac, when you said it got me emotional. You know, I don't want to even get on this, but my daughter, my son, they are here, but in particular, my daughter's been through some storms, and she here tonight. And I'm so glad that she here tonight, because I know, and watch this, because I know that you can come through it, man. But you got to go deeper, and you can't be scared to come on with it. So that's, and I don't want to be delusional. But, and you know, I've been dealing with gangsters a long time, so I don't play games, and this is what I do for real. I don't do this for a stage. I do this. Right. I mean this, man. Amen. I've seen redemption, transformation. Amen. I've seen it. So I believe it. See, I believe it in my soul. Amen. But I just got to get some more folks to believe that you can hear what Dr. Smith just said and not act offended, but say, truth makes you free. Yeah. I ain't got no help. Yeah. But truth makes you free. It don't bind you. Truth releases you to say, okay, we got a problem in this equation. Amen. But it's a solvable one with some of the stuff that we're talking about. So I'm gonna round up Mac. What else do you want to say? If you got anything else you want to say, I'm gonna give everybody a chance to just say what you want to say. I'm gonna go to the preachers last though, because I see how y'all do that. But Mac, you have anything else you want to share before we close this first panel?
I just wanted to, something I didn't elaborate on when I said about mental evaluation of, you know, the cops and policing power. Like, you know, there's a saying that I live by too, that I know that hurt people tend to hurt people. And like the pastor was saying about love and even with the, you know, what the organizations called Heal America, people need to heal. So I think they need to like go into like the history and the background of some of these cops, because when you think, I almost got killed when I was 18 years old by police. And Taz, I don't even think I ever told you this story, but you know the cop, his name was Jason. He went to our school that we went to, which was actually called Macon.
Yeah,
and
I know.
He was older than us, Taz.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so Jason, when I saw it was him and after everything died down, I was like, wow, I get it. And I understood. I was 18 and I looked and I understood. I used to watch the older kids that I knew pick on him. I was way younger than him, but they used to really bully him. Yep. So now he gets this power. And I know that he was damaged from high school. I witnessed him go through a lot. So now he has this power, which created and transformed him into being quote unquote a coward with power. And I understand why he misused it. But how did he get in that position? Why like back to what my man Tyler was saying, like 3 to 6 months, you know what I'm saying? Like they need to figure that out better, because no way he should be the person that's holding a gun up to a civilian, you know, a citizen or something, because I know what he went through and I get it. I know why he's doing this. It's not, it wasn't because of me. It was because of his background and his history. So that's another thing I feel that should happen. And it was one more point I wanted to touch on. Honestly, Bishop, I just talked myself out.
Well, that's all right. We'll call each other on the phone and we'll have some more of these. But thank you for sharing that. And I get
Bishop,
that.
can
Yes,
I
sir. Yes, sir.
Bishop, I just wanted to say that goes for anybody, like even sitting in the audience, anybody sitting on a panel, and even myself. I feel like, you know, we all gonna go through different trials and tribulations, but in order to turn those trials and tribulations into testimonies, we have to heal.
Yeah.
If we don't heal, you walk around and you wear your burdens. And when you do that, you tend to, like, even these cops, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could be a bad day. It could be something that he going through with his wife. And my man's that's a cop up there, what's the first thing he said? He said he turned to Jesus Christ for what? Peace in his heart. So if you're not going to work with peace in your heart, if we're not walking around every day with peace in our heart, like the pastor said, with love in our heart, then it's gonna eventually come out.
Amen.
It comes out with
I love it.
Amen.
It's good, man.
Mac,
It's good, good.
boy.
Right. What you about to say?
Yeah, I just want to add on to what Mac was saying. And it's funny, I was having a conversation with Doug yesterday, and that's the same exact thing I told him prior to becoming a police officer. I used to say police officers are guys that got picked on in high school, so they became a police officer so they can pick on everybody else.
Wow.
I always said that.
Wow.
And when I got into the profession, there's still some guys like that. And one of the things I do, I train a lot of cops. And I always tell them, I just had a girl get off of training yesterday, and she's been riding in my car for weeks. And I say, when you get this badge and when you get off of training, don't let your badge become this big. Don't let your gun become this big. You said something about cowards with power, and Satan fell because he was seeking power. Right. Jesus rose because he was a servant. Right. And so I want you to always remember that we are public servants first, which is why one of the things I always do in every conversation I have with people, I always apologize on behalf of police officers because I recognize that we have done wrong. But it's my servanthood that's going to show you guys that we can change the face of modern day policing.
Wonderful. I got to stop you right there. I got to stop him because he had to catch a plane because his wife's birthday tomorrow and he got
I'll be divorced at the next Hill America. So
that's right.
That ain't peace right there. That ain't peace right there.
Now, Leah, I'm gonna close with your statement. I have to. Yeah. Do you get tired of me doing you like that?
No, it's cool. It's
okay,
cool.
All right, because I know, man. And he has his book. I want everyone to get his book. I'm going to do some more talking about you at the end of this. So please, y'all, I love talking to y'all. And I love this. You know I love talking to you, Dr. Sewell, but I got to be careful. You might talk, because they putting this thing saying, Bishop, close. You got to close. I'm going to close. Tez, give me something.
I might be long-winded, Bishop. You might have to bring me back up here, because I got some things to say.
Well, you know, you come
Mac said it all, though. The crazy thing is that guy Mac was talking about, he was black. So he didn't even say that. But I definitely remember JC. He was 2 years ahead of me, 3 years ahead of Mac, and he was one of those persons. So
wow, man.
So that you know, those issues, those mental issues don't have any color.
That's
don't
good.
have any color.
That's good. Doc, anything you want to say? We close it out?
You know, it may be a little different, Bishop, but I just think part of the issue is not necessarily theology. I think we got to focus more on policy. You know, Nat Turner and his slave master both believe in God, but which one was right? Bull Connor was a deacon in his church. So just because you say the name Jesus doesn't mean you profess the nature of Jesus.
Come on.
So I just think we have to have more of a policy. You know, I mean, we have, you know, Islamophobia. America offers us the right to have personal theology, but everybody believes something different. You know, some people in the White House or wherever may say they believe in Jesus, but yet we lock babies up in cages on the borders. Yep. So do I want that kind of theology? I'd rather have a policy that's for equality and justice and for the betterment of all people. I think we got to focus more on policy because we've done too much singing and shouting in church in the name of theology and haven't done enough in terms of public policy.
Thanks. Salute that. Titus.
I just want people, you know, America has this bravado that we're the greatest country in the world. I've traveled all over the world, and we're the country with the greatest amount of opportunity. That's why people come to our country. If we were the greatest country in the world, we wouldn't lead the country in mass incarceration. I mean, lead the world in mass incarcerations. We would not lead the world in mass shootings. And we would not be damn near dead last in education. So in order for us to be the best country in the world, we need to start being the best people in the world. And that people means everybody, white, black, Hispanic, whoever's in this country. And you need to be willing to accept the truth for what it is, but also to fight against what people have fought against for years. You know, you see pictures of Baldwin and John Lewis and all these people, all these civil rights icons that we have in our culture. And they were fighting for the same things we're still fighting for today. And we just need to continue to fight to be the best people in the world so that we can one day eventually have this bravado with right reasoning and saying that we are the greatest country in the world because we got the best people in the world, we got best systems in the world, we got systems that have changed for all people and they've grown. Every single demographic that has fought for what they believe in. Lesbian and gay community couldn't get married 10 years ago. Yet the Christian, so when we talk about, churches I grew up in, they demonized lesbian and gay community for years. I had people in my family, my aunt, Nita, who was gay. I saw my own family drive this woman to doing drugs and alcohol and everything else. And I hated it because I feel like people should be treated as people.
Let me stop you right there. I don't want to because I don't want you to hit me, man. But I gotta stop you right there because I hear you though, man. I do. I'm serious. The name of that book. I need to say the name of the book.
There's No Such Thing as a Bad Kid.
That's
Available
his book.
on
He wrote
Amazon.
it. Y'all give it up. That's great, man. Thank you, sir. Pastor Sewell.
Hey, I just want to tell you one thing. Don't give up on the struggle. Keep fighting for what is right. Keep fighting for truth. Listen to me. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and when the road you're trudging, it's all uphill, when the money is low and the debt is high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as each and every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure, well, he turned about when that old boy might have won if he'd just stuck it out. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse. You must not quit. Never, never quit. Never give up. Or you listen to me like, press on in Jesus' name.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Man, can you put a track to that? Can we put a track to that? Can we put a trap music to that? Yeah.
Never, never quit.
I'm making new trap music. I'm going to get y'all, get Gucci, man. Listen, man, as we close. Yeah, man, we are here, but every time I see you, I told you, man, your light is real. And I'm trying not to get emotional, man, because when I saw that about that young brother Blake, my mind went to you. Because I know that it is treacherous to take life, but it's harder to live through it and keep living for real. So, man, I love you, man.
I love you too, sir.
I mean that,
Yes,
man.
sir.
I love you, my brother. And if you could say whatever you want to say and close us out with this beautiful affirmation. And yeah, I see it. Yeah, they just put 5 minutes for real, Bishop. Hey, man, do you see that I'm getting emotional?
Hey, Bishop, man, this is your show, man. You tell him to give you 5 minutes.
Thank you, see.
Oh, man.
Tyson said that. That's to you, Pastor. No, I'm just like, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, I'll just say, for a long time, I was focused so much on my hero and saving people and not my healing. And the best thing that I've done thus far is focused on healing myself. Now I'm a better father, I'm a better son, a better sibling. I'm more present with my family, and I'm also more present with community, right? And so I can add more value to people around me. And so I just encourage you all to, whatever it looks like for you, just, take that step towards healing, whatever it is inside of you that needs fixing. And we all know what that is. And so if I could just have y'all repeat after me, I would appreciate it. We must give up to go up.
We must give up to go up.
We must give up to grow up.
We must give up to grow up.
We must give up on the way up.
We must give up on the way up.
And give up even more to stay up.
Give up even more to stay up.
I cannot teach.
I cannot teach
What I do not know.
what I do not know.
I cannot lead.
I cannot lead
Where I will not go.
where I will not go.
I am.
I am
Because we are.
because we are.
We are.
We are
Because I am.
because I am.
I am my brother's keeper.
I am my brother's keeper.
I am my sister's keeper.
I am my sister's keeper.
I am destined for greatness.
I am destined for greatness
Because I attract
because I attract
what I am.
what I am.
In the African language, we say Ashe.
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 Thank you.
Yo, all right, give it up for everybody. Come on, give it up for this panel. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Come on, it's good. Listen, please stay tuned. Yeah, please go ahead, give it up for them. That was wonderful. We have so much more. Mac, I love you, man. Thank you, brother. Listen, stay tuned, stay on this. Thank you, sir. Stay on this. We are really doing this. Listen, we have. You know what? Somebody he got good bullet. This is good. Tez, thank you, man. Mean that. Yes, sir. You see? Listen. Yes, sir. I want everyone who is online, please do not stop this. This is serious for us. HealAmericaTour.com. All of you who are here, when you look at this, go to HealAmericaTour.com so you can understand there are some calls to actions. But we wanted you to get the first feel. But please don't turn your mind off, because what we have coming up is going to be powerful, and that we'll get into some of this policy and true. This what you're going to hear in a moment is going to really touch your heart, and then we're going to get into our healing moment. But look, I want to bring now someone who I love truly. He has been with me for over 20 years as a representative of transformation and redemption. Anton Lucky, he was the founder of the Blood Gangs in Dallas. He was one of the original guys that you would have to fear. But when he came out of prison, I said to him, he was transforming in prison. But when I said, man, your leadership is not in your colors, it's in you. God has given you something special. And we've traveled all around the world. I love this brother here. And we've done a whole lot of stuff and tried it all, man. And we tried it all to try to save the community. And so, first, would y'all please give it up for my brother, Anton Lucky. Come on, please give it up.
Thank you.
We have a friend that has been a part of our new family, Larry Taylor, who is, he is the head attorney for the Cochran law firm. They are everywhere but Dallas. He's my personal attorney, personal friend. But not only that, Larry has been in legislation. He has an organization that we're going to just mention here in a moment. But all of that is the stuff that's the flower. And then he has a son that just went to Howard.
No, he's going to Columbia for law school.
He's going to Columbia. Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah. Correct me then. But all that is the good stuff. But the truth is, Larry came from the same environments, the same stuff. And so he's that kind of example that we talk about. Okay, Anton, can you sum up? People may have saw all of this. And can you sum up what just happened on the stage and what we're talking about with this hill?
Bishop, I really think it was a magical moment. Every time we do these, it's just a magical moment. I think what I've learned in just watching what we've seen is that there is no monolithic idea in terms of what's needed to advance us forward. There are many ideas that's evidenced by the brothers, the police officer, the brother that was shot. It's many ideas, and it takes those many ideas and conversations to get the change that we need. So a misperception that we have as a community is we think that having these conversations are not effective, but you never know who in that audience who may hear a word or something that inspired them to go back and do something in their own community, as the brother said. So I think just looking at that, I'm always inspired at that.
Yeah, and I gotta say this, kid. You guys have been here. See, I have a team that goes before
2 weeks.
me. 2 weeks
Yes.
in the streets with OGs and we will have some ways for you to tap in to see what's been happening, because Atlanta has some heroes, budding heroes.
Man, I got to shout out a brother. They watching this stream, a bunch of OGs out of the neighborhood, brother Ra Ra, OG Red. These brothers just created a stream at a watch party at their facility to watch this, to encourage young people that they serve to get involved with the conversation.
Would y'all
So
please
shout
give
out.
these brothers, Atlanta brothers, OGs, come on, give it up so they know we love them, we appreciate them. And you know, we got to shout out Big Will.
Big Will.
Big Will, who is out of the country, but he has been a part of this, just all of them. But listen, Larry, you see this, man, and you know we believe this. But I know how you felt when you saw that video. 7 times. I'm trying to make this, you know what I mean? But that's difficult for us to see. And you know the streets, but you know the suites. You have a unique perspective. Can you tell the audience what you are doing right now that says we have to get inside of the system and not just be complainers and pointing at the system?
Besides working on several of the legislation that you see come across your screens dealing with police brutality and police reform, we formed, myself and some other lawyers across the country have formed an organization called Police the Truth. And that organization is designed to represent police officers who want to do the right thing. They want to step forward and say, you know what, this police officer did this to this young woman, or they're being, their racial profile. Because a lot of times in our walk as attorneys, as we represented these officers, they get backlash. I end up fighting with the unions that are supposed to protect my client more so than anybody else. And that's one of the things that we're looking to change, to provide a safe haven. And we're doing this a lot of times pro bono. And we just need to do our part. We do civil rights cases, that's one thing. But if we don't have a venue to bring those cases to, Texas is probably the #1 state at throwing out 1983 cases, which are civil rights cases, just based on the law. And so those are the things that we're looking to change, like the pastor said, through policy.
Right. You know, Larry, Anton, I want to wrap this up because I want to get to this performance and I want us to really go. This has been real, this whole thing.
It has.
What is it that you can say just in 1 minute to someone who was you? You know, and Larry, you just said it, man. I appreciate that about going deep. You going deep, policy and all of that. Right. But kid, I want you to close us out. Tell somebody, what you gonna tell them?
I would just say this. It was a point in my life where I was sitting in a prison cell, not knowing if I was gonna get out. Coming from drugs, gangs, and sitting in prison, I thought I wasn't gonna get out because it was a lot of people, because I was a leader, was trying to get stripes. But God blessed me, because I committed to say, I'm gonna get back out and I'm gonna dedicate my life to making sure young people don't go through what I went through. And I'm gonna tell y'all, God done blessed me. I'm super blessed. So I would tell anybody, stay consistent, stay hitting the concrete, and don't get locked in one space. It's many spaces that you can climb out of and rise to. That's what I would say, Bishop.
You know what?
Last thing, Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Why is me and Larry sweating and you not, bro?
It's because what I got on. But listen,
Pastor,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can I just give a shout out to the black women in this country?
Yes.
Because I was talking to my mom today, and she said, "Baby, I told that teacher that told you wasn't gonna be nothing.
Yeah.
That one day you was gonna be something.
Yeah.
You were Mike Tyson in the courtroom, in the classroom, now you're Perry Mason in the courtroom."
Yeah.
And so I just want to give a shout out, because if it wasn't for the church, and it wasn't for my mom and my grandma,
I love it.
and my father,
I hear you,
praying for me to change my spirit, to understand that everything just can't be punched out.
Yeah.
Some things have to be reasoned, talked out, and acted out through action.
I love
My
it, man.
lawyer.
Listen, y'all, give it up. This is what we're doing. We're Healing America. We have a great performance coming. I want you to stay tuned. Look, go to healamericatour.com. There will be some calls to action that I want you to follow, some ideas that I want you to get involved with. healamericatour.com. But after this performance, and it's going to be a great performance, you're going to love it. This next panel is already giving me chills. Trust me, it's worth the wait to see what's about to happen just in this moment. So we appreciate it. Let's keep it going.
Thank you. Thank you.
Values of love lost. A handshake is not enough. Lonely hearts don't break. Our beliefs are under siege. The have-nots are searching for promises that are broken. As our sweet liberty fades, lift every voice still remains. I choose to be a freedom rider. Nothing wrong with being a freedom fighter. The revolution will never stop. So raise your fists more than ever. So raise your fists now or never. To sell your soul at what cost, and watch your life slip away, caught deep in society's plague. It's not too late to stake your claim. What are we here for? What have we been fighting for? My voice I'll use to paint a picture of peace again. I choose to be a freedom rider. Nothing wrong with being a freedom fighter. The revolution will never stop. So raise your fists more than ever. Yeah. So raise your fists now or never. Freedom rider, nothing wrong with being a freedom fighter. See, I choose freedom over everything. Oh, you need to let go. Oh, we demand freedom. Oh, yeah. working so hard to move on. It seems like everything I've worked for, oh no, now it's gone. I can feel it changing, feel it turning around. You see, oh, I see I met you on my way up. This time you're staying down. Cause the more things change, the more you stay the same. Oh, good God, I said the ones that I was trusting. See, they telling lies. Cause see, we're standing face to face. Good God, standing face to face. Can't look me in my eyes. In my eyes. I can feel the change. I can feel it turn around. I said I met you on my way up. I said this time you're staying down, baby. Staying down. Said the more things change, said the more you stay the same.
Come on, please clap your hands for Liv Warfield. Wow. Come on, I mean, please clap it up, clap it up. Man, we were all in the back, and boy, this band is unbelievable. We were in the back like, wow, do we need to switch formats and get into this? But no. Listen, again, I want you to go to healamericatour.com, healamericatour.com. You can get all of the information that you need to keep the healing going. We have some calls to action that we're going to deal with in a moment. But again, as much as we can see aspirationally what we want to believe is going to be our next step, we understand that this is not where it ends, this is where it begins. We must continue the fight, continue to believe, continue to forcing these things that seem unequal to find common ground. And you know, this next panel is about the true understanding of the justice system, but it's also how do we really get into solutions. And so this is a great time for you to really tune in and tune up and let's see where we're going with this. And to help me moderate this is one of my great friends. He is an extremely competent. He believes in me. No, he believes in this. John Harden, Dr. John Harden, who is my close friend, he has moderated some of these panels, not just like this, but around the nation, seriously pulling out those things that other people may not understand. And so, John, man, I'm so happy that you're doing this. Every time he does it, he's always like, Bishop, I said, man, you good. Why do you keep you too good to be always talking to me about this other stuff? You good at it. And you are a perfect fit to this understanding how these puzzles really match, man. So thank you, my brother.
Thank you. No, good to be here. And we don't have instruments this time. Last time, 2 times we were together, we were actually playing in a band.
That's true.
But nobody has to go through that.
Yeah, nobody has to go through our band, but you did good on that. But and he drove down from South Carolina. Yeah. And would y'all please give him a great hand, Dr. John Harden. Please give it up for. He is. He's going to help us with this, and I almost called you Doc. That would have been very unusual. But John, do you want to introduce our esteemed panel?
I do. I think you were going to introduce the first member of our esteemed panel.
Let me do the first one.
Okay.
Because I want my 15-year-old daughter to think I'm so cool, and my other daughter. Atlanta has some celebrities here because this is the epicenter of culture. But this one young lady who has been through some of these traumatic experiences, but she also understands that we have to grow and get to that other side. But she is on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. She is a celebrity, but she is also someone who is passionate, and I'm glad she is. Would y'all give it up for Akbar V? She is here. Come on, clap your hands. I know y'all saying, no, she ain't here for real. She's here. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You can have a seat right there. Yeah. Thank you, sis. Thank you for being here.
All right, so we're also fortunate to have a diversity of other folks here with lots of different experiences. Another person who's joining us is an author. She's a grandmother. She's a criminal justice reform advocate, and she served more than 20 years of a life sentence before that life sentence was commuted by President Trump. We're fortunate to have Alice Johnson here with us. Y'all please give it up for Alice. So we also have the president of Deason Capital Services with us, who has been an advisor on criminal justice reform to the White House and to many governors. We're fortunate to have Doug Deason with us. Doug?
Right here?
You can sit. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This work? Anywhere?
It works for me.
Okay.
All right. So we also have, we're fortunate to have someone with us who was just released from federal prison less than a month ago, who was a former Bad Boy Records recording artist that performed under the name Loon, and we're so excited that he's not only out of prison, but here with us. It's Amir Muhadid. Amir, thanks for being here. We also have with us a former music producer who worked with Snoop, who worked with Tupac and many others before he was given a 55-year sentence on which he served 13 years. Weldon Angeles is here. He's now an advocate for criminal justice reform with the Weldon Project.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm actually probably going to have to take that seat. And you, I think, have to go over there. Unless we want to.
No, you know what? These brothers, they've been through enough.
Yeah,
they can sit there.
We're going to go back here.
I'm going back here. You've been through enough.
I don't know if I can go back here.
You can do what you want. I'm going to sit back here because you can take your seat.
I'll just move a chair somewhere.
I'm not Will just took my seat.
I'll just sit over here with Doug.
See, I'm explaining bright people privilege, not white privilege. Bright people. No, I'm just playing.
So we do have one other guest with us who is here virtually, who's the Senior Vice President of Stand Together. He's a former prison guard and advocate for criminal justice reform with the White House and others. Mark Holden is here with us, so please give it up for Mark.
Yes. Hey, Mark. Hey. Glad you're here, brother.
All right. So I'd love to. Thanks, Mark, for being here. So to start off, there's obviously this critical conversation that we've been having about the role of police in society. And I thought a great way to start would be, Alice, for you and Amir, if you don't mind, speaking to what you see as the ideal role of police officers, of police in our communities. Alice, I know that we've talked about your sister, is that right, and her husband?
Yes.
Are both retired police captains. So can you speak a little bit to that?
Yes, they both served for over 35 years in the Memphis Police Department. I've got other relatives who are in law enforcement. And truly, law enforcement is there to serve and protect. That is what I feel their role is. We've had some shift things that have taken place, but at the foundation, that is what their role should be. And their role is also to know those who are in their communities, in their neighborhoods. You know, and that's a place that's a place where we need to do the fillers back. We need to go back to communities where community policing, where the police get to know their residents and where people can have that trust again because they know them and that they don't feel that they're going to have their best interests. I know so many terrible things are going on in this country right now involving police. So many terrible things. It's probably many in this audience who have relatives or friends who are in law enforcement. The place that we have got to get back to is that old-timey policing that used to be our cornerstone, where police, when they pull up, you don't fear them. Right now, there is a lot of fear that is taking place because of so many things that have happened. Now, we've had it before where there was always fear in our communities because we just didn't know what was going to happen to us. There has to be some additional training that takes place, especially on how to de-escalate situations where it's not so much trigger happiness that is taking place. So we really have to get a place, as Bishop has called this, Heal America. So there's a big role that the police, a big image that they have got to change of how we see them.
So I want to grab a hold of what you said about old-timey policing, because Amir, I know the conversation we've had, you've talked about how policing has changed even in your life. Could you speak a little bit to that and what that proper role looks like?
I was born and raised, in the streets of Harlem in New York. And like growing up, the people who policed our communities were from the community.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're dealing with certain incidents, the moral aspect of their job is easily implemented because of the connection that they had with the people within the communities. So when you started at some point hiring officers who were outside of the community, coming to do their job, that moral aspect, is void. Because now it becomes, I'm going into a foreign place and I'm fearful. So the idea of serving and protecting kind of like decreased. And it went more so to trying to do my 8 hours and go home back to my family. But then you have also in the communities, I'm trying to go home to my family, Yeah. Or I'm afraid to go down the street and have a foreign dude that's coming from outside of the community see me doing something, and his fear becomes aggression, and then I become a victim of police brutality. So they used to have a lot of community-based programs like PAL, Police Athletics League. And being in the PAL, like if you happen to fall sick, and the police that were so entrenched in dealing with community affairs, they would actually come to your house, knock on your door, and be like, yo, is Chauncey here? And your mom be like, oh, nah, he got the flu. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So I believe that discord is whatever happened to the police officers that were from the communities that they were policing got removed. And they got replaced with police officers who are not from the community. So when they're dealing with these matters, they're not dealing with a connection, they're not dealing with the moral aspect that comes with their job, which is to serve and protect.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned when we were talking about how when you were growing up, it was cool to say you're going to be a police officer one day.
Yeah, I mean, kids used to be able to say, when I grow up, I want to be a police officer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a fireman. This stigma of being a police officer, is something that's avoided because of the actions of how policemen police. Mm-hmm. So no one wants to be a person who shoots unarmed people, or I don't want to be a part of no system that does that and says it's okay. Yeah. When people said I wanted to be a policeman, it's because they wanted to see kids be able to play outside safe. I wanted to protect them. I wanted to protect the old ladies that go across the street. I wanted to protect people going back and forth from the supermarket and doing their daily routine so that they're safe. We wanted to provide that for our communities because we loved our communities. But somewhere down the line, that stigma of, yo, you're gonna be this kind of individual if you take this job as a police officer. We ain't saying be a cop. I'm saying being a police officer. But the side of the car don't say cop. It says police, serve and protect. You know what I'm saying? We have a bad taste about cops.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
It's about, right, and I think you've said this before, Alice, too, it's about, being with us in the community. It's not things you're going to do to us in a community. And there's this public, not public servant, but sort of public master relationship. And Akbar, I'm just curious if you have anything to add to that as we think about the proper role of police officers.
What I think about what?
The proper role of police in society and police officers.
Well, I'm from Cleveland Avenue. A lot of people know me, Thug, Lil Key, all us from the same neighborhood. And when we was growing up, because I've been in the streets since I was like 14, I didn't have like a mom or dad to teach me anything. We was taught to dislike the police for the simple reason, like, we either doing something we ain't got no business or they just doing something, you know what I'm saying, that they don't supposed to do. So March the 15th, 2016, I got shot in my head. A police officer saved me. I started looking at police different. Like, no, a police officer saved me. Then they started killing innocent people, and it was a white police officer that actually saved me and rushed me to the hospital or whatever. And I just feel like, coming where I'm from, I feel like police supposed to protect and get more involved in the community. And if it was a lot of police officers that's getting involved in the community, you wouldn't see a lot of black kids go to jail at such a young age, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't see a lot of hatred in a lot of kids' hearts when it comes to police officers. Nowadays, police just kill you for fun and just walk away with a sneaker, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I know a lot of, I want to get to overcriminalization in a minute because that places police officers in a position where they're having to have these unnecessary and oftentimes harmful interactions with people because they're being asked to enforce so many laws, hundreds of thousands of laws, and really treating things like addiction and mental health, but treating it with punitive, repercussions and incarceration. Before we get to that, though, obviously there is this divide that has to be mended in trust, as you said, Alice, between police and the communities. I think it's easy to lose hope right now, as we've been talking about, Bishop, when we look around us and what just happened in Wisconsin. But Alice, when we were in Dallas and talking, I really appreciated how you talked about how you take hope from the First Step Act, right? The First Step Act was this moment that shows it is possible to make policy reform happen, and it's possible to take that and improve people's lives. So I wanted to talk about that for a minute, also because many of you were deeply impacted or a part of the First Step Act. So Weldon, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with folks that may not be as familiar, what is the First Step Act?
So the First Step Act is just what it says it is, the first step. And the First Step Act reformed a number of drug mandatory minimums. The most draconian, I received 55 years for 3 small cannabis sales because of a statute named 924C. That statute has been sending people to prison sometimes for 200 years, 250 years, 100 years, some nonviolent offenders. And so that was one of the most draconian statutes that was reformed under this provision. And it also brought with prison reform as well, programs in prison that fixed some good time laws. And it was very bipartisan because we had both sides of Congress supporting this. So it was the biggest reform bill since 1970. And one thing that was really special about the First Step Act is that it allowed for us to get people out like the brother Amir. First Step Act got him released, and so it was a really big achievement.
So I want to hit on the bipartisan part of that, right? Because it really was bringing together a coalition of people from all different sides and experiences, perspectives to make this happen. And Doug, can you speak a little bit to how that came together, sort of at the end, the role that Alice played in that really got the First Step Act in many ways across the finish line, or at least at the finish line?
Yeah. No, so we started working on the First Step Act really in 2015. There was a bill in the Senate that we mainly worked on, and it was really hard to get Mitch McConnell, the leader of the House, of the Senate, to take it seriously and want to put it to the floor. Anyhow, another bill came out. It was the First Step Act. Congressman Doug Collins from Georgia sponsored it, and it was a fight. The House didn't want to have any sentencing reforms. They took all the sentencing, everything that Weldon just talked about, they took out all of the reforms for sentencing. And so you have the draconian laws where they, 3 strikes, you're out. They can include a state law. They could include a speeding ticket. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But they got it out. It was a good bill. It's a step, the first step. And when it hit the Senate, then it passed with a huge majority of Republicans and Democrats, and it made it to the Senate, I guess, in the fall, late summer or fall. They had other things to look at, but McConnell made the statement that it's dead on arrival. Well, I'm a criminal justice reform advocate. I'm an activist donor, so we put our money where we put it, and we follow it. And are very, very involved at the state and the federal level. And so I spent a big part of 17 and 18 in D.C. I spent all of December. I left once, and I had to turn and go right back, so I just stayed there the entire month. So to make a long story short is, you had 2 different parties. You had Dick Durbin and Cory Booker, who, they wanted it all. They wanted everything in it. And you had Mike Lee, the Utah senator, who's Weldon and Mike are really good friends. And Mike was a big champion for Weldon. Mike was, so we kind of ran it separately, but together. And we had daily phone calls, sometimes with, bipartisan. Sometimes we'd have, and it was always with the White House. The White House coordinated the whole thing. It was all behind the scenes. Even the president didn't really know this was going on. And we're in, I was in the White House almost every day in December, working with Brooke Rollins and her team, and Jared Kushner was the big champion of it all. What happened is you had Jared in one ear of the president talking about how we needed to make change, we needed to make reforms. There were people who were over-incarcerated. They had huge examples. Then you had Jeff Sessions, Senator Jeff Sessions, in the other ear, who'd been appointed AG, Attorney General, and he was telling them, lock them up and throw away the key. That was his, ancient mentality, stuck in the 60s. And it was a battle. It was a silent, quiet battle going on in the White House. And then, 7 months prior, Alice, and I'm going to tell, I don't want to burst Alice's bubble here, but tell a little bit about, because she was so incredibly critical. None of this would have happened. There are a lot of people it wouldn't have happened without, but most importantly is Alice, because once Kim Kardashian got in and told her story to the president, then a week later, she gets clemency. And he watched as she came out, and all those other prisoners are clapping and chanting her name, and they're in tears, and because of joy, tears of joy. They're so happy for her. And then she walks out and walks across the road, and the family embraces her, and they're so happy. And it literally just melted his heart. I mean, it truly changed his outlook and his perception. And I think he had a pretty good, compassion for it, but it totally changed it. And from that second on, Jeff Sessions was irrelevant. And it wasn't long after that he was relieved of duty. And it was that, seeing Alice and her family reunite, that he realized that this was a huge opportunity to help people who couldn't help themselves and lift, let's face it, a huge proportion of prisoners, especially in federal prison, are of color, either Hispanic or black. And he saw that as a great opportunity to help people. And so it wasn't long after that he called Mitch McConnell and he said, I want that bill on the floor this week. And he made it very clear. And so we were actually able to slide in some minor, but some sentencing reform. And it's been huge. There have been, at the end of 19, I mean, there were, I think, 7,500 prisoners who had been released early. And, since COVID, it was great. It was, a God thing that it worked out like it did, because the compassionate release program has, these guys, Loon got out because of it.
Yeah, so I want to unpack that real quick because this I think is very cool. All right, so as you just shared, so the First Step Act, so Mark Holden, who's with us, Mark was a big part of that, working with Van Jones and others.
He was our leader.
Yeah, the leader to make it happen. So the First Step Act gets passed, and great part, thanks to Alice. First Step Act is passed. Weldon is released. Weldon then uses the clause that you just noted, the compassionate release, right? For Amir to then get released, right? Who was just released a few weeks ago, thanks to the First Step Act. And then so we were backstage. Did y'all just meet for the first time?
Yep.
So Weldon's been fighting. How long have you been fighting for Amir?
I'd say about 19 months. I was always a big fan of his. I used to listen to I Need a Girl Part 2 over and over and over. And me and Snoop Dogg even sampled the beat and did a whole new song to it. And so one of my friends from Tupac's Outlaws of Napoleon was talking about his case all the time. And so when the First Step Act passed, he said, does it help his case? And so I reached out to him, like, what you trying to do? And so we were working with the White House, along with Alice, to try to get him presidential clemency. But there were a lot of other things going on. And when COVID hit, we're like, man, we can't sit around and wait for him to catch COVID. So we went to the courts with the First Step Act.
I just want to say one thing.
And then, yeah.
When Mutar, our mutual friend, told me about Weldon, and when he introduced me, like immediately, I'm calling him in the prison phone. Immediately he got to work. So like you said, for the whole duration of 19 months, this is a man I've never met before. I never had no dealings with prior to this. And many of us, we can contest to this. We have people in our lives who we believe have our best interests, or we believe want good for us. And they'll actually take the initiative, but they'll run out of gas, maybe like 2 months, 3 months down the line, and just, kind of tap out. This man has been relentless, in his efforts to help me get out. And by, the decree of God, certain things impeded the process. And then when I found out that Ms. Johnson was on the clemency committee, he started to, convey to me how adamant she was of getting my clemency push. So I'm like, I've never even met her. And it's like, this woman just came home. Like, she's a grandmother, she's a mother. Like, she could just go sit down somewhere and just enjoy her life. You understand?
Yeah.
So the whole process of the clemency petition, all the people who signed, Mark Holden as well, everyone who signed the clemency petition to get me out. And it's like, when I got out finally, I knew from the moment I've been released that I wanted to be a part of these people and their efforts advocating for change. Because if this could be done by people who just have a sincere passion to do the right thing, who wouldn't want to align themselves with those kind of people?
Right.
Growing up in life, we've navigated through a lot of relationships, through friends, significant others, so on and so forth, and a lot of it don't stand the test of time. But to have complete strangers, to have this commonality, to want to do the right thing, I believe that anybody that catches wind of this need to get on board. Because you can't change things by just sitting around feeling, compassion.
Right.
You have to get up and do something.
Got to.
Yeah.
So
let me jump. So I want to talk about doing something. I want to jump in and keep going. But I just want to. Watching the three of you, that was just the coolest thing. Being backstage, the three of you met for the first time in person here tonight is just so amazing with the work that you're all doing, everything you've been through. Yes, sir.
That's exactly what I wanted to happen. That's why I was telling the audience, you really don't understand the historical nature of this panel right here.
Yeah.
You have Doug Deason, who has no reason to have this passion. It's just who he is. Yes. And you have these three, man, who have been, and Doug has been with me, like some of y'all went with me to the Trap Museum. He been with me to the Trap House. There wasn't no museum. Now, we wasn't doing nothing. We was trying to help people. So let me be clear. I don't want nobody, I don't want your wife to get mad. We was trying to help some people. But the point I'm making is that it's just passionate people. We say only inspired people can inspire people. And John, I've never been more inspired than when I talked to that woman right there who is my, you know, she knows she's my heart, and I love her. And when I started talking to Brother Amir, it was instant. Lauren introduced us. I said, we ain't got even. We already know what it is. I already know what it is. So it was powerful, man. So I'm sorry, I had to just jump in. I'm gonna be quiet.
No, you're good. Let's go. I want to go to Mark, who's behind you, because Mark's been very patient. So Mark, in talking about, as Amir just said, getting to work, doing things, you know, we're talking about how we drive reform in police culture, how we remove the barriers to good policing, and how we address overcriminalization. One of the big things in overcriminalization, obviously, is the war on drugs. Can you speak a little bit to how do we think about, how do we approach reform when it comes to overcrim, when it comes to the war on drugs?
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but great panel, and this is a great issue, and we need it now more than ever, criminal justice reform. Mm-hmm. So let's start with the war on drugs, like John was just teeing up, and wanted to go back before we get to the war on drugs. Let's talk about prohibition. I'm old, but not that old. But alcohol prohibition in the 20s and 30s. Well, what we learned there, and we should have learned at least, was when you prohibit something, it becomes much more precious for people to want it, yes, much more expensive, and then there's a lot more violence around it. And that's what happened with alcohol prohibition. One thing they did right, though, one thing they did right in alcohol prohibition, they did not target users. You could drink alcohol, you just could not manufacture it or sell it. So they didn't go after users. And that's a big deal, right? If you think about it. So fast forward, and by the way, next year will be the 50th anniversary of the beginning of the war on drugs, and every year the war on drugs win the war on drugs. And they're gonna keep winning because we're fighting the wrong issues. And it's been political from the beginning. So if you go back to 1970 when it started, Richard Nixon was president, and he was told by Republicans and Democrats, experts across the board, you know, drugs they can be dangerous, but don't go after users. Wow. You know, people who are sick, people who have addiction, whatever it is, don't go after them, don't target them. Go after people who are doing, you know, selling drugs, maybe cartels, whatever it is, but don't go after the users. And they didn't do that. They went after users. And that kind of started the whole thing with mass incarceration, starting in the beginning of the 80s with the mandatory minimums, which had no science behind them. And the whole time it was to win elections. Both parties did it. We know this. So that's kind of what we've been dealing with. And the wreckage is that, you know, if we had done what they had done in alcohol prohibition and not gone after users, things could have been a lot better. And if they did what they said they were going to do with mandatory minimums and target those who are really the cartels, the major traffickers, that would have helped. But that didn't happen either. And that's one of the issues in our system is that, you know, criminal justice. And one last piece on this whole thing about the war on drugs. About 6 years ago, John Ehrlichman, who was one of the crooks who worked for Richard Nixon, did an interview, and he said that there was never any thing about public safety that they were thinking about when they started the war on drugs in the Nixon administration. They wanted to win elections, and what they wanted to do was destabilize communities of color by having them get criminal records and breaking up families and breaking up communities. And they wanted to go after the quote-unquote elites. And that was, you know, the people who were against the Vietnam War. And so they all got criminal records. So that's what this was born of, and that's what we're trying to fix now. It's a disaster, it's a mess, it's really unholy, it's just irresponsible, and it's just terrible. And there are a lot of things we could do, and I think that we're gonna have a chance to do it because there seems, as we've been talking about on both sides, left and right, people are tired of this war on drugs and what it's done to our society. The amount of money that's been spent, the loss of lives, and how it just never ends. And so a lot of things that could happen, one of them would be maybe not going after any low-level offenders anymore. We should get rid of mandatory minimums in all drug cases, I think. And then to the extent they want to use them on, you know, El Chapo, so to speak, that's great. That would be something. But the reality is that isn't who gets these long sentences many times. You've seen Weldon, you saw Amir, and Miss Alice. they were, Alice Johnson, everybody knows her story, but they gave her a 3 to 5 year plea bargain, which is nothing, right? She probably could have gotten that down if she'd had a better lawyer than she had. But she went to trial, and what happened was she became the kingpin, so to speak. And so she got life in prison plus 25 years. So what is she? Is she Alice Johnson, the low-level offender? Or is she Alice Johnson, El Chapo? And that's the problem with our system. A lot of the problems start with, and I'll stop after this, prosecutors. Prosecutors have way too much power in our system. That needs to change. Things like the trial penalty, that's what happened to Alice. Alice turned down the plea bargain. She went to trial, as is her Sixth Amendment right, and she got that huge sentence. And that's happened to, I think, to Amir as well. He was facing 3 strikes and you're out. It was he had a minor issue on a conspiracy. The conspiracy laws are a mess. They get to pick whoever they want to make, the kingpin or however they want to do it. That's what happened to him. And then to my friend Weldon, the same thing happened. Weldon, sold marijuana 3 times and got 55 years in prison. He had a gun. He owned the gun legally. And I talked to some of the prosecutors that went after him and got him convicted. And they were telling me how dangerous Weldon was. And I was like, I don't think he is. And I went back to them and I said, look, here's the deal. He probably shouldn't have been out there selling marijuana. And we know it's illegal, even though if he'd been in one state up, it would have been, legal probably. But here's the deal. If you were that worried, if you thought it was about public safety, why didn't you arrest him the first time when he did it? Why did you let him do it 2 other times? Yeah. They had no answer to that because it's all about just these prosecutors, and most of them do the right thing, but they're all really they are the king right now. They are the judge, executioner, prosecutor, you name it, everything, the jury. So we need to fix that first and foremost. There are a lot of other things that need to happen as far as there are 5,000 or more federal criminal laws in this country, and there are 400,000 federal criminal regulations. And that can lead to things like, from picking up a whale's tooth or whatever. Bobby Unser, who was a great race car driver, he got caught in a blizzard, and he got a felony charge against him because he did not have a permit to be on federal land while he was on the blizzard. So I'll stop now, but those are some of the things that need to happen. The trial penalty, all these other issues, and I think that whoever wins this election is going to have to do a lot of work because we're way behind right now. First step was great, but we need about another 50 steps.
Yeah.
I agree. Sir.
Thank you, Mark, for walking through that. And yeah, we'll clap for Mark. There are so many opportunities here to reform policy, as we've talked about. We've sort of touched the tip of the iceberg, but I love that we can look to the First Step Act. We can look to the past and see what is successful. How do we make progress? It's exactly what we've been talking about. It's unity, it's coming together, it's love, it's relationships. Right. It's not the violence that we see in the streets today that actually undermines the very principles, right, that we're trying to hold up of equal rights, of inclusion, of empowerment, of individual dignity. And so that's what this is all about, is bringing folks together. So there are a lot of ways to get involved. And one is, as Bishop has noted, healamericatour.com. You can sign up for conversations there to be a part of these types of discussions. There are also organizations here in Atlanta that you should check out, like Kids to Leaders, which supports kids of folks that are incarcerated. Also, the Georgia Justice Project, which is a leader on criminal justice reform in this state. And, of course, Urban Specialist has OGU here working with OGs to reduce violence in communities. And then Americans for Prosperity is working as a grassroots advocacy organization to really advance criminal justice reform. So I encourage you to check those out. Thank you all for participating and joining us today. Bishop, anything you'd like to say?
Let me, before they leave, and I know we have some more, something else to say, but I wanted to say something. Brother Amir just got out, and I see the sign, so y'all got to make it no bigger. That's to my producers in the back, because they gonna make me produce from the front. I got some OGs in there too, so just be careful. No, I'm playing. No, I'm not. But listen, just gonna bully me. Listen. I don't know if you just heard, because, you know, we can gloss over it and kind of make it sound, but I don't know if you really just heard what Mark just said. You need to hear what he just said and really let that sink into your soul. Some of these people's lives were ruined because somebody felt like, I'm the judge, I'm the jury, I'm just gonna do this. This brother got 55 years. This brother here, who was one of our heroes in hip hop, this sister who was mother and a worker and low-level criminal, to do that, and it takes individuals who stretch. He said it, man, you gotta do something. Y'all hear what I'm saying? We have to do something. We can't just talk about it. So I just don't want that to be glossed over, because those are thousands and thousands and thousands of lives and time. And I worked in the prison system too long, and I know how it sounds to look at a brother who I know is not incorrigible, but his mind has sunk because ain't nobody really making a way. And then your family gets tired and your friends get tired. So it takes somebody that you don't know that believes in you, somebody that you don't know that believes in you, and then it comes about. She said, I had a bad understanding of police until somebody, when I was almost dying, a police had to come get someone that you don't know. So I know you may not know us, you may not know Doug, you may not know John, but I want you to know this stuff because it's so real. It is so real, and you know, we have so many people that are connected to us. And so first, can y'all give them a hand? Just tell them thank you. Listen, man, thank you, man. Thank you. And we are just getting started because there's some more stuff. He has an idea, and Doug, I want to talk to you about this idea that this brother has about having community police, having true conversations, unfiltered, and we're really going in, all right? Okay. Now, listen, one of my close friends is Elizabeth Coate. She's not someone who you would think would be a criminal justice hero, but she is a personal hero because Elizabeth and I, we talk about this stuff in a serious way, about how do we move from this policy idea to stuff inside of us? How do we move those cognitive distortions, those things that kind of bind us to it's us versus them? And every time I have one of these, I said, Elizabeth, I know. She was like, I'm coming. I said, no, you can, but I want you to be in this moment because I think it's important that we start saying that it's not just about all of them, it's a us. And the us is on the inside. Elizabeth, I just want you to go from there, and then I want us to go into a healing moment.
Oh, Bishop, thank you. My heart is so full. My head is so full. And you know, like everyone said tonight, you gotta have both. You've gotta have the policy and you've gotta have the hearts. To just have one or just have the other is not gonna be a game changer in this country. So I'm so honored to be invited to speak just for a moment. Just to set up a little bit of context, I'm the founder of an organization called the Unlikely Collaborators. And one of the things that we try to do at Unlikely Collaborators is help people recognize and experience in their hearts how we human beings, how all of us have so much more in common than we don't. So to that end, last year, all year, I was on a tour, a speaking and workshop tour with a former child soldier from South Sudan. And at first glance, this just seemed crazy. Like this privileged Midwestern white girl, you know, daughter of one of the most successful businessmen in America. And then this former child soldier raised in deep poverty. He watched his mother get murdered before his eyes at age 5. His entire village erased, handed a gun at age 7, and was told, go murder everyone who resembles the people who did this to you. Like, what could we have in common? And more, what could our commonality, how could that help us heal ourselves and help heal the audiences that we were committed to serving? So I met Emmanuel Jal in 2016, and we didn't know anything about each other. In 2 minutes of our conversation, Emmanuel looks me dead in the eyes and he says, woman, what is your trauma? And I'm like, my trauma, all right, we're gonna get real. So we got real really quickly, and we shared stories of our mutual histories. And my pain was obviously nothing like Emmanuel's, but it was real. It was real to me. And so what we discovered in sharing our stories and getting as personal as we did within 5 minutes of meeting is that we both had original incidences, but that wasn't the pain. That wasn't the problem. That wasn't the real suffering. The real suffering was the stories that we told ourselves in our own minds over and over and over again, well after the events happened. It was the self-talk that made us have hate in our hearts. And it caused us to hurt ourselves. And it caused us to hurt other people. And this was mentioned earlier. If we don't love ourselves, the pain's gonna keep growing. It's gonna keep going on and on and on. So the other thing that Emmanuel and I discovered in this conversation was that all that pain, it gave us a purpose. And our purpose was now to help as many people as we possibly could understand that it's the self-talk, the stories that we tell ourselves in our own mind that keep the trauma going and that keep the trauma spreading, and to help people recognize the stories that they're telling themselves and release those stories from their hearts. We're both committed to this and dedicated to this. And all that came about only because we were willing to get real with one another. By sharing those stories, those intimate, personal, vulnerable stories, we were able to see ourselves in each other. So I don't mean to imply at all that we don't have to focus on policy problems right now. There are institutional nightmares out there that were so beautifully just outlined. All I'm saying is we can't do anything from a place of hate. We can't create any real change from a place of fear. I believe that creating institutions from fear and hate is what created the mess that we're in right now. To me, change requires us not moving further away from one another, because that's what fear and hate does. It requires us moving closer, even moving closer in the discomfort, moving closer in the uncomfortable emotions, the uncomfortable listening. Because it's in this common discomfort that we find our common humanity. And I'm sorry for saying this, but compassion's important. It's in this space of our common humanity that compassion rises up and we can actually begin to hear one another, feel one another, and see ourselves reflected in the other person. And from that place, we can build a new world. I believe it. Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you. Wow. You know, Elizabeth, thank you for saying that. I've been thinking about this, whether or not I was going to say this. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but when I'm talking to people about this healing, in my mind, I'm saying that we can find our truth, even if it's uncomfortable, but we can reveal it. We are willing to be vulnerable. You have always come to me in this place of vulnerability saying, let's just be honest. And I think that you who are listening tonight, I want you to hear this. I know you're going to be vulnerable. You might not have ever thought about how can I help. You are just in this place. But I think it's just a truth. This is a truth, a moment of truth. This is time for us to not play with it, not assume that we know. Really get there and say, what do we have in common? And can I look in his eyes and truly see the same humanity that I see in me? And so, John, I want you to just give us our call to action, because I've been telling folks to go to Heal America Tour, but I think the real call to action is find you a Doug, find you a Alice, man. My 15-year-old tell me to find the Akbar because she loves you. Find the Loon, find the Brother Mill, find the Weldon. You got to find some folks that you can believe in, man, and really go all out and be willing to take it to the next level. And even as Dr. Dewey Smith said earlier, sometimes, man, we got to be so honest that it feels vile. But it gets you there. But go ahead, John. I know I'm talking.
Oh, I don't think I can add anything to that. I think that's exactly right. I mean, as we've talked about, we see the power in the compassion, in the relationships, in the love. I mean, it's just, I cannot say enough how overcome I was standing back there watching these three folks hug each other for the first time.
Yeah.
Because of what was possible, because of their relationship. Incredible. But also because of policy change, right? That made that possible. Like Elizabeth just said, those two things go together. And so that's the call to action. And what's that? And yes.
And the blood of Jesus.
Yeah.
Can I add one more thing?
Go ahead, Mark. Yes.
Sorry, because I'm going to get in trouble. I was supposed to say this.
Yeah.
One of the other issues we're focused on is regards to marijuana. It's really crazy that it's still a felony at the federal level. And I forget how many states have either legalized it or made it decriminalized. And that's something that needs to happen as well, because there are people who still get picked up for things like that. Again, we're talking about low-level offenders, but I wanted to make sure people understood that as well. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you, and I agree. Brother Mill, you want to say anything because I'm going to give a call to action. I want to just give you a shot. If you want to say whatever you want to say, it's on you.
I just want to say that I've never been able to identify with this type of collaboration. Like this normally takes place, like I said, amongst our own in our communities. Because once again, like Akbar said, we were taught to dislike police at a certain period of time. For me, being a little older, it was the crack era. When crack came, it destroyed many inner city, ghettos in America. And everybody became like, it became this fend for yourself thing, And when you did try to establish some type of, rectification or some type of solace within the community, it was always us doing it from the way we knew how.
Right.
I've never been in an environment like this where you have people who actually know how to help. Because you want to help people because that's just a part of your natural disposition. We're born to want good. You can only be corrupted. You can only be taught something opposite of that. You can only be exposed to something that's contrary to that. But deep down, we all want to help people. But if you don't know how to help people, you end up doing more harm than help. With pure intentions. But you can actually harm more than you help. So I just want to say that, I'm elated, I'm excited, and I'm passionate about being a part of a group of people who sincerely want to help from all different areas of life. Like Elizabeth said, no one in my community would ever think a privileged woman like herself, once again, has no reason to be involved with nothing going on in Harlem, nothing going on in, Georgia, Chicago, Southside Chicago, wherever, any ghetto in America. Nobody expected her to be involved. Same thing like I said with Alice. I know if my grandmother came home, she ain't trying to be out here doing all this. But she's here. She has people who are patiently waiting for her to die in jail. Let's be real. She was going to die in jail. It wasn't nothing saying that grandma comes home. She was going to die in jail, and she's sitting here on this panel. So when you look at yourself and say, what do I got going on that will impede me from being a part of this process? What do I got going on that's so overwhelming and so burdensome that I don't have time to be a part of something like this? I just spent 9 years away from my family for something that they call ghost dope, drugs that don't even exist. Hearsay and ghost dope. By me having 2 prior convictions I go to trial, I pay the trial tax, which was life in prison. I had to take a 14-year sentence because it's daylight at the end of that. But the reason why I'm here is because I want to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want to be here.
I want all of you, if you are inspired at all, because I am, man. I'm overwhelmed with this today. This is good for me. Thank y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It means a lot. I want you to do something. I need you to go to healamericatour.com right now and sign up. There are call to actions that John just talked about. There are ways you can get involved right now. Get your phone, go do it. Go to healamericatour.com because this is what we're here to do. We're here to figure out how we can get involved and really push ourselves beyond the limit of just hoping. We can hope, but we can do something. I need you to do it right now. Now, I don't want anyone to get nervous, but we are, my first name is not Bishop, but I am a real believer. So I can't close without prayer. I ain't got no help there.
Amen.
Yeah. It's all right. I thought you was going to say amen, Akbar.
Amen. You know, I love the Lord, honey. I'm Father, Son, Holy Spirit all day.
Yes, Lord.
Okay. Made me nervous. But we are doing this. One of our OGs who is here, and it's going to shock you when we do this. It's a young lady. She's from Lubbock, Texas. She went to our OGU. She said, Bishop, wherever y'all go, I'm going. She has been mentoring OGs. She has about 30 of them that's working for her and with her right now. I want Bunny to come up here. And Bunny is not Creole, she's really white. Because I know that's what y'all thinking. This is real. And she is an OG leader. Elizabeth, unlikely collaboration, unlikely allies. It makes no sense for you to be involved in this like you are, but it's bringing us together. Why are you doing this? Because I'm about to pray for some people and tell some people they can make it. Tell them why.
We were putting our heads together. My boyfriend and I own a business, and so we were seeing what we could do in the community with our business since COVID shut us down from going into the schools and stuff. So we just decided with hiring people, we were going to have very few requirements. We were going to go out of our league to hire people, and we did. And as a result, we have over 30 employees now. The majority of them are from the hood, and we love it.
Period.
Sometimes we feel like counselors, but we just keep on going. And a few of them have started their own businesses now, and we just keep encouraging them. And the biggest thing I was thinking about is we have learned to be listeners. You know, as a white woman, I could never put myself in a black person's shoes, you know, and I let all my employees know that, but I can listen and I can, you know, see what I can do to make a difference in their life or to encourage them or love them where they're at. And that's what I continue to do.
I want everyone right now, I want you to bow your heads. We're going to pray. And we're going to pray because I want to pray for those who may not believe that this can change. Now listen to me. I know this is an event, but this is someone's life at stake if things don't change. This is real. You know, Wisconsin is real. Atlanta, it's real. Minneapolis is real. Dallas, it's real. This is real, but it's solvable. And I love what Elizabeth said. Us running away from each other don't work. We got to run towards each other. We have to run towards each other and be serious about it. And this is the moment. I want you to do it. Bow your heads right now. God, we come to you asking for strength, asking for strategy, asking for individuals who can be a part of it. But Lord, more than anything, we need resilience so that we don't get weary in well-doing. So we can find our way forward and we not give up on those who have given up on themselves. I heard what this brother just said, that someone expected for Alice to die in jail. But you had another plan.
You had another plan.
There's someone right now who is saying, Bishop, this can't never change.
Glory be to God.
But there's another plan, and I see it. I hear it. And it's going to be through these that are unexpected. These are the ones. These are the ones that we need. So bless us today, give us strategy, and keep us connected. Keep us connected. Don't let foolish things like ego and partisanship and everything else to stop us. Let us start and never finish until the work is done. Let us go higher and let us believe more. And let us be a part of this healing so that we can grow and go forward. We have momentum, and let us have this momentum that carry us across the finish line. We pray, and it is. So if you believe it, say amen.
Amen.
Come on, give everybody on their hand, please. Amen. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. Thank you. I want you to go to healamerica.com, healamerica.com. It is important that you get involved. Y'all are my heroes. Just don't know it. Y'all are my heroes. But so many other people are going to gain from this. All right, we love you. Please, let's pray. Let's pray for those who are facing some trauma. And let me say this before we get out. Listen. The families that may be affected by the hurricane that's coming, the families, especially in New Orleans, Chief Murphy Paul is usually here with us. He had to stay in Louisiana because of the hurricane. There are other things that are going on that we have to be aware of. So as we go forward, we don't forget anyone. So please keep them in your mind. Keep us in your prayers. Be safe. We love you. We appreciate you. Blessings on you. Let's heal America. Thank you.
John? Wow. Wait.